guys, Tokar Players here, and I'm Tokar Player Treek, and today I'm going to be your host. Today we are going over my Zephyr Thunder Conductor EDH deck tech. But before I get started, like always, I want to say thank you guys so much for the support, and hit that like and subscribe button for more content. Anyways, so as we know, Strixhaven is coming out in just by the end of April. In a couple of weeks, I did pre-order this precon, and I am upgrading it. This is the upgraded deck tech version of it, and this upgrade should range you from $40 to $60, making the deck around $80 to $100 in total if you just buy the precon and go from there. So I do hope you guys enjoy this deck tech, and I again want to say thank you so much for watching. Now let's get into Strixhaven. Strixhaven is a plane divided into 5 colleges: Prismari, Witherbloom, Lorehold, Silverquill, and Quandrix. This is the Prismari face commander of the Commander 2021 precons, and my card choice was Prismari just because I like the card choices, and is my favorite guild. So Zephyr Thunder Conductor is a legendary creature human shaman who costs 1/4 and who is a 1/4 who costs 4 mana to colorless and Izzet, which is red and blue, and has Magecraft. Magecraft is a new ability from Strixhaven, where whenever you cast or copy into a sorcery spell, something will occur. So for Zephyr, Zephyr has 3 different Magecraft triggers. He scries 1, and if the mana value is 5 or greater, he creates a 4/4. But here's where it comes in. Here's where it gets interesting. If the mana value is 10 or greater, Zephyr deals 10 damage to a chosen opponent at random, which means that we can poke around a lot and just create a lot of tokens and get some advantage with the scries compared to over what our opponents have so far. So it's going to be an interesting deck, and I did base this a lot around a couple of X spells and copy, and I think that was the best way to build it. I know Command Court is built Infect, but I didn't really want Infect, so I'm like, hey, let me just build it this way. Alright, now let's get started into actual deck tech. I'm using Architect Tech, and I will have the link in the description below to this deck. But if you want to see all my other decks, just you'll be able to find my profile right here to click on it, and you'll be able to see all my other decks I have available. Now, this is not the actual deck price. The reason I'm telling this is because I price checked this myself, and there's a certain way how Architect does it to where you have to switch it to change the price of cards, and I'm not about to do that, so I didn't, which is why it's a little bit pricey. But that is not going to be your true price. Alright, now let's get started. First, we have Command Tower. Command Tower is an obvious staple. You do need this because it is a 2-color deck. Then we have Evolving Wilds, because again, it's 2-color deck and mana fixing is important. Exotic Orchard for more mana fixing. Forgotten Cave because it's a cycling card that could also be helpful. Then Ghost Quarter is really good because if you go up against mono black decks with Urborg or something, or just go up against a deck with an annoying land that can really get them going. We have 9 islands. Izzet Boilerworks? Izzet Guildgate? Lonely Sandbar? Again, cycling. Mage Ring Network is a cool land that actually works really well in this deck, because what it does is you may pay 1 to put a storage counter on Mage Ring Network. I expect you won't be doing much for a couple of turns until you cast your commander, which means that you can afford the mana to keep doing this. But then we can remove any number of storage counters from Mage Ring Network, add colorless mana for each storage counter removed this way. So for X spells, we'll get bigger, and we can even save more mana in the long run in the future, so we can make sure it equals 10 for Zephyr for our commander. Next, I'm running 9 mountains. I do like to keep my basic lands completely even in all my decks. It's just an addiction. That's really all it is, Major League Addiction. Then we have a Myriad Landscape. Myriad Landscape is really good, again, for more fixing. Then we have Prismarine Campus. I'm only running it because it has Prismari in its name. Other than that, I shouldn't be running it. Valkyrie Tower is really good because we do have a lot of draw cards and we do want to keep our hand steady. Then we have Study Hall. This is actually a new land, and what it does is you can pay 1 at 1 mana of any color. You can spend this mana to cast your commander. Scry X, where X is the number of times it's been cast from the command zone this game. So, that could be actually really interesting, which is why I kept it in here. Then we're running Temple of Epiphany. This did get reprinted in the Commander Precons. Then we have Temple of False God, obviously, test for 2. And Timberwolf Expanse, one thing about this year's precons is that Timberwolf Expanse Nor Evolving Wilds got reprinted, and I didn't understand that myself, and that's kind of weird. Alright, but that is it for our lands. On to artifacts. Artifacts are gonna get pretty spicy actually over here. Arcane Signet is obviously your commander staple. Then we are running a new artifact called Elementalist Palette. Whenever you cast an X spell, you may put 2 charge counters on this card. It already taps for any mana of one color, but you can add colorless mana for each charge counter on this card. So if you just cast 1 X spell, you're automatically going to get 2 mana, which is really good. Which is why I'm running it. Then we're running Firemind Vessel because it does tap for 2 different colors of mana. Izzet Signet, Letter of Acceptance. I suggest replacing this with Command Tower, actually. Pyromancer's Goggles. What's good about Pyromancer's Goggles is that when you tap to add red mana, right? When that mana is spent to cast a red instant spell, copy that spell, and you may choose new targets for the copy. That is perfect because we want to copy things and get them going. So if you copy some stuff that I have in here, which I'll go over later, you can have some really sweet combos. Then we have Replicated Ring, which is probably my favorite mana rock of all time, because it adds 1 mana of any color, but mainly because at the beginning of your upkeep, put a night counter on Replicating Ring. Then if it has 8 or more night counters on it, remove all of them and create a colorless no artifact tokens named Replicated Ring with add 1 mana of any color. So this is really good. You're probably going to be lasting a game more than 8 turns, so you should be able to get all 8, and now your X spells are automatically going to be big. We have Skyclave Relic. This is really good because it has Kicker, and that Kicker is really good because it'll come in with 2, maybe tapped. It will be tapped, but you still get 2 extra mana rocks that add any mana of one color, and they're indestructible. Then for the last 2, we are running Soul Ring. Obviously, it's just a commander staple in all commander decks. And then we are running Twinning Staff. What's good about Twinning Staff is if you copy a spell 1 or more times, and so that copy it that many times plus an additional time. Which means if we use Pyromancer's Gauntlet, we're gonna have 3 of the sorcery instant on the stack, which will trigger Zephyr 3 times. So you'll scry 3, it'll create 3 tokens, and if it's 10 or more, you're going to deal 30 damage at random, and that is perfect. Now, onto enchantments. Enchantments, we're running Double Vision. Double Vision is perfect because whenever you cast your first instant or sorcery spell each turn, you automatically copy it, which means you don't have to worry about doing anything. And if you have Twinning Staff out and Pyromancer's Goggles, that is a total of... Okay, so Double Vision triggers first, copy it, Twinning Staff. Then you copy Pyromancer's Goggles, that is 5 copies on the stack with Twinning Staff. Then we have Jace's Sanctum, which makes everything cost less, and that's really good. And you'll be able to scry 1. Then we have Metallurgic Summonings. Whenever you cast a sorcery spell, create an XX colorless construct artifact creature token, where X is the spell's converted mana cost. This is going to be really good because we can have that mana cost get really, really high. Then for 5, you can exile this, but return all instant sorcery cards from your graveyard to your hand. Activate this only if you control 6 or more artifacts. So what's good about this is that even though we may not control 6 or more artifacts, we could still figure out a way how to we can still create a lot of tokens. But if we have Replicating Ring out and it replicated itself, we can easily do this and get a lot of stuff back. Next, I'm happy that this got reprinted, actually. I don't know what it did to the price yet, but Termbird's Invocation is really good. Whenever you cast a spell from your hand, reveal the top X cards of your library, where X is spell's value. You may cast a spell with mana value X or less from among those cards revealed this way, without paying its mana cost. Put the rest out on the bottom of your library in a random order. So obviously there's already value here, because if we cast the X spell for 10, we can then look at the top 10 cards and cast any powerful spell with the current mana cost 10 or less without paying its mana cost, and that's going to be pretty good. But it's also just good because it'll let us trigger Zephyr more and more. Then Swarm of Intelligence obviously has to be in the stack, because it's just whenever you cast, you automatically copy, which means with Twinning Staff, you're going to get at least 2 copies, making 3 triggers already. So Swarm of Intelligence obviously has to be in here. Alright, now onto instants. Alright, so starting with instance, if you're running Blue Sun Zenith, this is just a good draw card for yourself or trying to draw at your opponent, but there's no way you can build infinite mana, so you can't really do that on this deck, but it is a good draw power, and you could just make yourself draw 10 cards, so that's pretty good. Then we have Brainstorm, just a natural good draw starter. Then we have Chemist's Insight, which is good draw power. And then we have Dig Through Time, which is great because it has Delve, which means we won't be paying as much mana for it, but we'll still be getting, to look at the top 7 cards, we'll still be getting a Scry 1 and create a 4/4. It's perfect. Now, one of your game-winning cards is Electro Dominance. I did win a game against Brutaclad and Hope of Gryafer, just playing Electro Dominance and killing my opponents, because I copied it up to 6 times, and I had X equaling total mana cost for this was 20, and I copied it 6 times. And if I had 6 triggers on its 10 ability, so I just won the game there. Then we have Frantic Search. You may draw 2, discard 2, and untap 3 lands. Increasing Vengeance. This is really good because it'll let you copy. And then if you play something that's like Flashback or if you play something like Flashback or Jumpstart, like what Chemist's Insight, you'll then copy it twice, and this does have Flashback, which means you could recast it, which is pretty cool. Then we do have Logic Knot. This is a beautiful Delve counter. I did not know about this card until I built this deck, and I realized this could be a very powerful counter, because if we delve stuff that we don't need, then we can actually make a large counterspell and probably even get a 4/4, and we can possibly get 10 damage. But I don't really think you should delve that much, unless just delve away a few things and then add more mana to it, and then you should be fine. Then we have Opt. I did buy this version of Opt, actually. I'm planning on buying most of the Mystical Archives while I am upgrading this deck, or just buying cards for it, because I just think they look cool. Prophetic Bolt is one of my favorite cards. They did get a newer version of this, but the newer version costs so much mana, and I'm cool with 5, because I'm better off copying it very early and getting a lot of power than waiting a little bit later till I get some mana. And I felt like Prophetic Bolt just was better just for the short mana cost. I might not be dealing more damage, but I feel like it's perfectly fine the way it is. So I am going for Prophetic Bolt. And what this does is it deals 4 damage to any target. Look at the top 4 cards of your library, put 1 into your hand and the rest at the bottom of your library, in any order. Then we have Reinterpret, the newest counterspell, and this counterspell is Cracked. So you may counter target spell. You may cast a spell with equal or lesser mana value from your hand without paying its mana cost. That is perfect. So what's going to happen, we can cast something very broken with it, or just something that could be useful. Then we have Seething Song. This is actually a really good thing that you want to copy, because when you copy this, you're going to get so much mana and just build up your X spells, so that's pretty cool. And that is it for the instance. Now onto sorceries. We do have a lot of sorceries. Alright, starting off we have Aethergale. Aethergale is just good removal. Even though they may get to recast, it just stops them for a while, slows them down a bit. Then we have Apex of Power. Apex of Power is actually a really good card in this deck. It costs a total of 9 mana, which means it costs 10 mana. I read that wrong. So when we cast it, we will get all 3 of the 5 triggers. But you're allowed to exile the top 7 cards of your library, and so in turn you may cast spells from among them. But what's good about this is that you can add 10 mana of any one color, which means if you have more red than blue on the field, once you see your exile cards, look through them, calculate. If you see that you have more red than blue, get blue. If you see you have more blue than red, get red. But what you can also do is, if you end up copying this, you can do a lot with it. Like, just have Pyromancer's Goggles, copy it. That's 20 damage off of Zephyr, 2 Scries, 2 4/4s, 20 cards gone, however, but 20 mana into your mana pool, and that's pretty good, actually. And you can do a lot of stuff with that mana. So, I love Apex Power in this deck, and it's going to be pretty powerful. We have Blasphemous Act. Blasphemous Act is actually just a good red removal, because it can cost less. I remember I was going against a Brutaclad deck, like I said. I made it very dirt cheap, because I was allowed to. And what's good is that you're still going to get 2 triggers, because it doesn't care how much you spend. It only cares how much it costs in total. So it's going to cost 9, which means you'll deal 13 damage across the board, and that's going to do pretty well. Alright, then we have Brass's Bounty. Brass's Bounty is really good because for each land you control, you're going to create a treasure token. And this came in clutch, but if you also have a lot of lands, like you're able to get a lot of land somehow and build up those treasures, you will probably have some big X-Spells in your hand. Then that's going to be resourceful. And I'm glad that this got reprinted, actually. I haven't been able to find this. I was looking for this for my Magda deck when I was about to buy Magda. But I didn't buy Magda. I will still have deck list for you guys. And I couldn't find that. I was kind of pissed. Alright, now we have Creative Technique. This is one of the newer cards, and it has Demonstrate. Whenever you cast a spell, you may copy it. So what's good is that you can get 2 triggers. However, if you do choose an opponent to also copy it, which means you'll still get 2s of 5 triggers, which means you'll still get 2 scries and 2 2/2s. However, your opponent must do it. So you can actually play some politics, or just go to that one opponent who's like your closest friend who you like trust. I did that before. It's perfect. So you can shuffle your library and reveal cards from the top of it until you reveal a non-land card. Exile that card and put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. You may cast the exile card without paying its mana cost, and that is really good because we can confirm not pay mana, and it must be a non-land permanent, which means we could get something good and not waste our time with lands. And this card is going to probably be one of your most resourceful cards in getting resources out into the battlefield. We have some of my favorite blue removal. Curse of the Swine is top tier X blue removal. Exile X target creatures. For each creature exile, you'll create 2/2s. However, we don't care about 2/2s, right? We're creating a ton of 4/4s with our commander, so we should be fine exiling a good amount of stuff. Then we have Elemental Masterpiece. I'm only running this because it's a Prismarine card. Other than that, I wouldn't be running this. But, you know, I like to also stick to theme. Like, listen here, guys. You don't need commander decks to always be optimized. You don't need to always have optimal things in your deck. You can always just run something because it looks cool. It still works with your deck, and it's related to your deck in some way or form. So we have Elemental Masterpiece. You'll create 2 4/4s, but you can discard this to create a treasure token, which means if you don't want it, you can just pitch it off and get mana. That's all you got to do. Alright. Then we have Epic Experiment. I love this card. You may exile the top X cards of your library. You may cast an instant sorcery spells with mana value X or less from among them without paying their mana cost. And then you put all cards that weren't cast into your graveyard. So obviously, instead of wasting where they sit there in the exile, they at least go back, giving you time and the ability to try to recycle in some way, either using metallurgic summonings or some other way. Next, we have Experimental Overload. So you're going to create an XX blue-red weird creature token, where X is the number of instant sorcery cards in your graveyard, which means it could get really big, but then you may return an instant sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. You must exile this card, however. But we don't really care about the exiling, but what's good is that you can return something from your graveyard. So you may not be able to return everything back, like something useful, but you're still going to be able to return it. You can still return something that's optimal. Like, let's say we have Creative Technique in there. We can return that back, play more politics with it, and be like, hey, I'll let you copy it. If I can copy it, you just do nothing to me. Like, you can just really do some powerful stuff with just that single return. And that's resourceful. And then we have Expressive Iteration. This is one of the newer Prismarine cards. So, look at the top 3 cards of your library. Put one of them into your hand, and put one of them on the bottom of your library. Then exile one of them, you move to the exile card. So I wouldn't do this early game because you wouldn't have the mana. I would do this mid game where you have more mana to spend and you have a chance at getting away with it. Then we're running Faithless Looting just because it's good draw power. I hate this Mystical Archive, but I'm still gonna buy it. I don't know why. It's just Mystical Archives, man. They really just get me going. Alright, next we have Fiery Encore. Fiery Encore is really good. It is one of our Storm cards in the deck. You may discard a card, then draw a card. When you discard a null card this way, Fiery Encore deals damage equal to that card's mana value to target creature or planeswalker. And then it has Storm whenever you cast a spell, copy for each spell cast before it, which means we could win the game here. One thing I did was when I said I copied Electro Dominance 6 times, I was going to cast this from my hand for free and then just discard my whole entire hand. And I was going to kill them. They weren't going to live. Alright, so yeah, I love this card. It can deal some damage. You can toss something like, again, you can toss something like your Elemental Masterpiece. That's 7 damage. You got rid of something you're probably not going to cast, and you also got to draw another card. So that's really good. And then we have Inspiring Refrain. This is probably a great draw card. You draw 2 cards, exile this with 3 time counters. So time counters work the same as Suspend, except for you're not paying Suspend, you're paying the full mana cost. Or you could suspend it and then get it back and then redeal with the time counter. So Inspiring Refrain is constant draw, and that's really good. And then we have Karn's Terminal Sundering. This is I was trying to put a lot of extra turns in here actually, but I'm like, let's not be that mean. But Karn's Terminal Sundering is just that thing that you gotta run. You know what I'm saying? So you can target player takes an turn after this one. Return up to 1 target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Just imagine you copy this with Swarm of Intelligence or some other miscellaneous, mysterious way, and it is going to be evil. Like, you can do so much. It's just going to be so fun. That's why I put it in here. Then we have Mana Geyser. You can just get so much land for this. Then we have Mind's Desire. This is your other Storm card, and this is by far one of my favorite Storm cards in the deck over Fiery Encore. Because you can shuffle your library, then exile the top card of your library, until end turn you may play the card without paying its mana cost. So you could get a land, yes I get, you could bust. But you could also not bust, and you'll be pretty good. And it's a good Storm card, which means if you do get more copies on it, you could just get lots of value. I remember I was able to do that 4 times in a single turn, because I got so much value off of it. Alright, then we have Multiple Choice. This isn't the most optimized card for the deck, but it is an X-Spell, and it does synergize with the commander. You will scry 1 and then draw a card if X is 1, so it's just good draw, pay 2, scry and draw. Then for 2, you may choose a player, they return a creature, which is sad, but then you create a 4/4 for 3, but if you just pay 4 or more, you do all of the above. So if you pay 4 for X, that's a total of 5, which means we'll create a 4/4. Alright, so if our commander's out and we make X equal 5, I meant X equal 4, which means the total mana cost of 5. We're going to scry 2, draw 1. We're going to create 2 4/4s. We're going to bounce a creature, and that's all we're doing. So I feel like it's really good. Then we have Muse Vortex, which is really good, actually. It is new. Okay. I didn't know if this was certain cards. I'm like, oof. Alright, exile the top X cards of your library. You may cast an instant sorcery spell with mana value X or less from among them without paying its mana cost. Then put the exiled instant sorcery cards that weren't cast this way into your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So what's good about this is, unlike other things, you're not going to lose it. You're not going to lose it to the graveyard or exile. It's going to go right back into your deck, and that's perfect. That's what we want to do. Then we have Ponder. It's just good draw power. Then we have Rousing Refrain. Rousing Refrain is actually really good. You add red mana for each card in target opponent's hand, so if you have that one opponent with the big hand, then until their turn you don't lose this mana as steps and phase end, then exile it with 3 time counters, which means you could get some pretty good mana flow right there. Then we have Volcanic Vision, which is probably one of the strongest sorceries in this deck. Return target instant sorcery card from graveyard to your hand. It deals damage equals to that card's mana value to each creature your opponent controls. That is good. Okay, so let me just teach you, I'm going to tell you, what happened one game. I was going against the Elder Dragon for Witherbloom, the Golgari Elder Dragon with the pay 10 life to untap all lands. And what I did was, I used Mind's Desire. I ended up getting Volcanic Vision, right? So I returned Mind's Desire, blew up his whole field, and then I used Mind's Desire again, got Mana Geyser, and then I cast the X-Spell and just won the game. It was insanely stupid. So yeah, that is it for the sorceries, which is, again, the main part of your deck. And now on to Planeswalkers. We are running Rao Storm Conduit. What's good about Rao is that whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, Rao Storm deals 1 damage to target opponent or Planeswalker. You may pay, you can +2 to scry 1. That's good, but you can -2 for when the next instant sorcery spell you cast, you copy that, which means if we have no copy engine, he can become our copy engine, obviously. And finally, I still want to buy this. I just haven't bought this yet. I pre-ordered some of the upgrades. However, I can pre-order all of them at the moment because I forgot to pick up my paycheck. So oof on me. But I am gonna buy the borderless version too. And one thing about this is it's beautiful, right? So we're running the Planeswalker Rowan and Will Scholar of Sparks and Frost. So I'm going to quickly explain something to you guys, right here and right now. I don't expect you to ever cast Will, okay? I get why you want to do it, but I don't expect you to, because there's more value with Rowan than Will. I'll explain in just a minute. So Will Scholar of Frost states the same thing as his sister. All instant sorcery spells cost 1 less. That's fine. But his +1, up to 1 target creature has base power 0-2 until your next turn. That's good. -3, you draw 2, but -7, exile up to 5 target permanents. For each permanent, its controller creates a 4/4 blue-red elemental token. That's not really. It's just But when you get to Rowan, Scholar of Sparks, +1, she deals 1 damage. Unless she draws 3 more cards this turn, she deals 3. We don't care about the damage. We care about the emblem. Whenever you cast an instant sorcery spell, you may pay 2 if you do copy that spell. So, again, if we have no enchantments to copy, if we don't have 20 staff, we have no way to copy. Our Planeswalkers are both copy engines. And that is why I said, I don't expect you to cast Will. Will is 100% situational in this deck. Rowan is 100% needed, guaranteed. Okay? I'm just saying that now. Do you guys play how you want to play. I'm just saying, the only reason why this Planeswalker is in my deck is because of Rowan, not because of Will. But that is it for Planeswalkers. Now on to creatures, alright? We're almost done. Alright, starting off we have British Heart for ramp. British Heart nor some Simulacrum got printed in these precons as well. I don't know what they're doing. I'm so confused. We didn't get Terramore Expanse, we didn't get Evolving Wilds. We only got British Heart. What the fudge? You know what I'm saying? Alright, but anyways, British Heart, Charmbreaker Devils is really good. It returns instant or sorceries. It doesn't matter at random, it's still value. Dazzling Sphinx is one of the newer creatures from this set. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, that player exiles a top card of library until they exile an instant or sorcery card. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost, then the player puts the exile card somewhere and casts it away at the bottom of the library in a random order. So, if we run out of gas, we steal our opponent's gas. And what's good is that we're casting it, so it doesn't matter. Zephi will always get a trigger, no matter what. So that's pretty cool. Then we have Dual Caster Mage. Obviously, you must run this. It copies. When it ETBs, it copies. Then Etali Primal Storm. Same reason like how we're running Dazzling, except for Etali, in my opinion, is way better. Because when it attacks, you exile top card of each player's library. Then you may cast any number of spells from among them without paying their mana cost. So, instead of it being an instant sorcery spell, it can be creatures, it can be instants, it can be enchantments, it can even be lands. You can steal your opponent's fetch lands if you wanted to. You can steal things, which is why Etali has to be in this deck. I would not take Etali out. Another thing that I suggest keeping and leaving in the deck is Galvanoff. So Galvanoff may be a target, but if you keep it around long enough, it's going to be the strongest thing on the field. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may look at the top card of your library. If it's an instant sorcery card, you may cast it without paying your mana cost. So I get what you're saying, but there may not be an instant sorcery spell. It doesn't matter. If it is, then you copying that thing, people. Alright, think about it. It may be a 50... Mathematically, this is not correct, okay? It may be a 50-50 chance, but that's a chance you should want to take. If you're able to cast it without paying mana cost, which means we then might have a chance to actually copy it somehow, in some way. And it's going to save us mana. And that's good. We want to save mana. Then we have God Eternal Kefnet. I love putting this card in this deck. You may reveal the first card you draw each turn as you draw it. Whenever you reveal an instant sorcery card this way, copy that card, you may cast the copy. That copy costs 2 less to cast. So that's really good. It's going to copy, and that's going to be beneficial. Then we have Milek Izzet Paragon. This is a necessary card in this deck. You may play with the top card revealed, but this also helps with Galvanoff too. And listen here. You may cast in sorcery spells on top of your library. Whenever you do, you will copy it and create new targets for the copy. However, if you use Galvanoff to make it free, this will auto copy because you're casting from your library, which means we just got a free copy. So we got 2 spells that were completely free. We wasted no mana. They're perfection right there, guys. Now, one of the secondary planeswalkers is Rotha, Miracle Artist. What's good about Rotha is that you can return your hand and you automatically copy an instant sorcery spell. This is good because she returns and she doesn't go anywhere else. So you can just recast her if you wanted to and just keep doing this. That's really good. Then we have Solemn Simulacrum for more ramp. Then we have Spectacle Mage. I'm only running this because, like I said, we have a lot of high mana value cards, and Spectacle Mage makes us cheap. Then we have Stormkiln Artist. This is good because you're going to create treasures every time you cast or copy. Whenever you cast or copy instant, and if you want to get tabbed sideways with them, you could. I wouldn't do it because he only gets +1/+0. He doesn't get anything for his defense, which means he will probably die quickly. Then we have the Dean of Prismari, Dean of Perfection, and Dean of Expression. So I'm gonna go over each one and tell you both sides are great. Like unlike Rowan and Will, both sides are good. You can use both. One thing about Uvilda, Dean of Perfection, is you may exile instant sorcery card from your hand and put 3 home counters on it. At the beginning of your upkeep, if this card is exiled, remove a home counter from it, and when the last home counter is removed, it costs 4 less to cast. Which means if it's an expel, that adds onto X. But Nasri, Dean of Expression, I used to believe that Perfection was better, but I watched Command Quarters, and they actually put a lot of light on. I meant Command Zone, my bad. I love both of them, it doesn't matter. But I watched Command Zone, and they were talking about these new Deans, right? And they said how Dean of Expression is actually going to be a little bit more powerful because it's consistent advantage, and using your opponent's cards, and I realized they have a good point. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile top card of each opponent's library. Until the end of turn, you may cast those spells from them. Among those exile cards, and you may spend mana or mana of any color to cast those spells. So obviously, we're cool. So that's really good, and I realized Demon Expression is probably the one I'm going to be casting the most over Perfection, and I'm just glad that they shine that light. Then we have Vrain, Voice of Duality. It has Magecraft. Whenever you cast or copy instant sorcery spell, it will get +1/+1. However, what makes this thing probably the best secondary commander is if you're casting or copying instant or sorcery spell causes a triggered ability of permanent you control, it triggers additional time. So, okay, listen here. Hear me out. Twinning Staff, Voice of Duality, our commander, and just say Storm of Intelligence, right? So, listen here. We just cast any spell, right? We have Zephi, we have Vrain, and Zephi out. So, we cast a spell, Storm of Intelligence copies, and then that will trigger Twinning Staff to copy. Which means, since it copied, Vrain will trigger again. Which means, we're going to have 2 more copies. Which means, we're going to have 2 Swarm of Intelligence trigger, 2 Twinning Staff triggers, 1 Swarm of Intelligence trigger. Hold up, no. That means, no, pause. I misread that. We're going to have 2 Swarm Intelligence triggers, 2 Twinning Staff triggers, and the regular copy, which means we have 5 triggers on a stack for Magecraft for Zephi. And that is 10. That is 10 +1/+1 counters on our commander. Whoa. That's 10 triggers on our commander, and that is 10 triggers on Vrain. Oh god, this is so irritatingly powerful and broken. Oof. Alright guys, I'm done over-exaggerating. I'm joking. I'm not over-exaggerating. That thing is cracked, my guy. Okay, anyways, I did hope you guys enjoy this new content. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I want to say thanks for watching, and have a great day, guys. Love you guys. Again, hit that like and subscribe button. I will be doing the Prismari Outer Dragon. That deck has been very complicated for me to build. But I got you, alright? Talk to you later. Tokar Players out. Peace.